We all know about this game, and we all know that sometimes you have good weeks, sometimes you have bad. We've been running a pretty hot schedule for the past, which seems like the entire summer. We've been very fortunate in almost every jurisdiction in North America from time to time. And what goes up must come down. So the last 3 days, it hasn't been great weeks. I saw My Jazz made a break on me last night. Behind the gate, something I don't know that she's ever done. Bomb Hugger made a break behind the gate in Yonkers. That's something she has most definitely never done. And Grace made a break behind the gate. Now these are all all trotting fillies. All made a break behind the gate. And although Grace did do that before, it's still very odd. This affiliate that was pretty sure-footed all year. So now I'm left switching gears and saying, okay, the My Jazz thing, I think we got a handle on what's going on with her. It's just a matter of mitigating some smaller issues that are bothering her in the present. Bomb Hugger, listen, you're going to have to throw the race out. I told all of our clients, both that own the filly and don't own the filly, that we did have a little bit of a mixed bag. Some of our clients wanted to go to Yonkers, some didn't. Ultimately, there just didn't seem to be much of an argument not to go to Yonkers, other than the fact that it was 8 hours away. We'd shipped her down to Melissa and Mark Beckwith. Everything was similar to the way we had got her ready for the Saratoga race. The reason for me it was so compelling to go to Yonkers was to make sure she got around Yonkers well. Now this affiliate got around Batavia, Saratoga, Tioga. There was no issue for me at Yonkers, but as I got to Yonkers the other night, I was told they resurfaced the track. It looked fine to me. She warmed up good. But when I went to step on the gas pedal leaving, there's always that voice in my head after it says, well, why didn't you just not leave with her? Well, when her biggest tool is being handy and being able to leave and get positioned, it's pretty hard not to use that. And even in the most optimistic way, with hindsight goggles on in full force, it's still her biggest tool. So I can't beat myself up about her making a break at the gate, but what I can do is try and figure out exactly what went wrong, break it down, because this is the same filly that left hard at Tioga, blasted to the front at Saratoga, and now at Yonkers made that break leaving the gate. So I'm left looking at the things that are obvious. Since the filly isn't different, she's not lame, she's not sore, she didn't hit herself bad or anything. She touched her knee, but she may have before. So the gate is the same, the horse is the same, the horse is, the competition for the most part is the same. What changed? The first thing that changed would be the surface, right? I did see her and heard her hit her knee right before she got out of gear. Maybe she startled herself more than anything, because I hadn't heard her do that before. We wear knee boots on her, so it's not like she's never touched a knee before, but I've never heard her do that before. So how do we mitigate that? A few little shoeing changes. It's not like we can go back to Yonkers and prep her at Yonkers again. So a few little shoeing changes, change some gear, understand that these are 2-year-olds moving forward throughout the year, and they don't stay the same, right? There's lots of trainers out there that'll just wear the same gear on them until they absolutely have to change, because that is the way that they trained down and raced, and I don't subscribe to that at all. Horses change, we change, you change. And to think a 2-year-old filly wouldn't go through changes in the middle of her 2-year-old season would be, from where I sit, naive. So is it the surface? Regardless if it's surface or growth spurt or whatnot, there was a change. So how do we mitigate that change and get her ready for the final? I'm not going to Vernon Downs with her. As I said to one of our clients, I know that they wanted to go to Vernon to see how fast she can go, and I have no interest in finding out how fast she can go. I just want to put her in a place to do the best she can do for the rest of the year. I think Yonkers is not a special surface. It's just a different surface, and I'd say adding a little grab, taking a little weight off her, and keeping her hobbles where they were. I felt that maybe I second-guessed myself after the break, because we had raced her in my bike at all the closer races. But when it came to... No, we didn't at Saratoga, obviously. The only one we did was Tioga. When she did make the break, did I feel her hobbles were a little longer? Maybe, but she felt so good warming up. Again, I'm not going to second guess myself in what I saw. So in regards to the race, we are going to turn the page. Have to. That's life. But how do we mitigate that moving forward? So a few little shoeing changes coming up for Baumhugger. She's going to get an easy 4 or 5 days at the Beckwith Farm in Saratoga, and then ship back here. Might even hit the grass for a couple of days here, and then we'll reset her and get her ready for the final in Yonkers. So that was Baumhugger. Grace, I don't know what to tell you. James said she was a little hot, a little bothered, felt a little pacey. Anytime I hear the word pacey when it comes to trotters, I think feet. Well, we had her feet checked. They weren't bothering her before the race. There was no indications that there was a need for a shoeing change or equipment change of any regard. So, and this was James that had trained her and said she seemed fine the other day by herself. So again, what changed? I don't know, and I can't answer that. So I guess the only way to truly answer that for myself and my partners on Grace is to move some things around, get in my car, and go to Ontario and find out. So that's what I plan on doing next week. Obviously, Monday I'm in Lexington. Tuesday I'm at the sale. What comes next? We do got a fair. Do I need to be at the fair? Maybe not. Wednesday, Thursday. Let's see what's going on Wednesday, Thursday, and then make a decision. Those seem like the most likely days I can scoot back home. All I really need is a PCR test, which is a 72-hour test, to get across the border. I have my vaccination. So that's where we're at with Grace. And then my jazz, I think a collaboration between myself, Jason, and the veterinarian, and now the blacksmith, I think, to get her under control. This is racing. It's tough. You got to take the ups and the downs, the good and the bad. And we know that. That's what we signed up for. So I definitely did, and understand that these are the things that take place sometimes in racing. Now, when we have a bad week, whether you do or I do, we all have different things we do. Get up. How do we shake the monkey off? Like, how do we shake the rust off and move forward? How do we get to... It's easy to say, oh, turn the page. But how do you turn the page? A lot of times I need a little time by myself to reflect, see what's going on, listen to some music maybe, get my hair cut, maybe just have a coffee and sit down and reflect. Compartmentalize. This is what's going wrong right now with these horses. Put them in their own stall, so to speak. We'll deal with that on a case-by-case basis. Let's look at everything else that makes you happy. And when you look at it, Slim Jimmy tonight racing, win, lose, or draw, he's punched his ticket into the final, I believe. I'm expecting a good race from him. Obviously, this is the scene of the crime from last time. We did change his shoes. Is it bothering him? Is it something that, is it the track surface here in Scioto? I don't know. So I'm going to have to be a little careful with him going out of there. I'm not going to take it for granted. You can be sure he's going to be on his toes coming out of the gate tonight and not in, third gear, sliding back into neutral where his mind can wander. He is going to be, and as I say this, we've already raced, obviously. This is Saturday. So, Slim Jimmy, I'm expecting good things from him tonight. Then obviously we have Pete on Sunday. Now, Pete has to win on Sunday. I've been told by our bean counters here at the stable, Sweet on Pete has to win to get in the final. So that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for the final. Now, when it comes to the final, we have other paths, right? If she finishes third and she didn't get in the final, fine. We catch the last Buckeye. She already got 2 wins in the Buckeye. A favorable finish in a third should, I would suspect, get her in the final, which would mean she would race in the Sire Stakes Consolation in the Buckeye final. Not the end of the world. So we have options with Sweet on Pete. And then a lot of people this week, I did a video yesterday, very frank, blunt video to everybody. I had made mistakes. Maybe I did miss some updates with some Ontario horses, just to let everybody know that if you feel that you don't have all the information you should have, reach out to me. Hey, Anthony, what's going on with my horse? I had Roger reach out this week and say, hey, Anthony, why is Purple Aura racing for $3,300 when she could be racing for $40,000? Great question. And it should be one that is abundantly clear to everybody, and it wasn't. The reason being that if she raced for $40,000, she couldn't race in the next Buckeye. They're numbered. You can't race in number 1, number 2, number 2. You see what I'm saying? So Purple Aura couldn't race in number 4 Sire Stakes and number 4 Buckeye. She's not eligible. So we're trying to get her into the Buckeye final. Same scenario as the other filly. Hoping for the consolation would be super for the Sire Stakes if possible. But Buckeye's where she's going to do some damage. So we're looking for the Buckeye consolation for her. Same thing with Of Tom. Now, I did get some great news this week, so we'll focus on all the positives from here on in. The great news was that I didn't realize I did, but I did pay 1-2 Skip a Few into the fair final, I'm told. Great, because she's sitting 6th right now. She's got like 3 fairs left, so if she continues her forward march, she should make the fair final, which I believe goes for $40,000. So good for her. If we have a little bit of luck with her in the Buckeye also, she may make the Buckeye final. Who knows? I think she's sitting, I don't know where she's sitting right now. She's sitting right now. Cruiser, obviously, going to the fairs this week. We're focused on Sunday. Sunday should be a good time at the Wellington Fair. If you're anywhere around the Wellington Fair, drop by, because it should be a lot of fun. We have Of Tom, 1-2 Skip a Few, Purple Aura, and Confederate Cruiser, I believe, is in, I don't know whether he's in the same night. The Monday, I'm in Lexington for the Wellington Fair, so Luke Ebersol, who's done well for us in the past, will be driving, who's he driving? Definitely Cruiser. Not sure if there's anybody else, but definitely Cruiser. And then obviously Renegade Gypsy, I spoke to Mario. We figured out a plan forward. If there's no grassroots for him in the near future, then just race him in an overnight. If there's no overnights for him with 2-year-olds, it's important, with 2-year-olds, then just qualify him. And that's the same place we were at with World for Two. I think Mario maybe got hoodwinked into putting him into the non-winners at 15. I think Ian, our old buddy Ian, the race secretary, might have talked him into the non-winners at 15, which was probably a bad spot to be with him. Half-mile track for a big horse like him, maybe not the best. I don't blame him for trying him. I would have too. But non-winners at 15, straight non-winners at 15 life, maybe not a great call. I could tell by the way Mario drove him last night that maybe he agreed also. So he's only got a start or 2 left before we shut him down. And Mario had said, well, what about, another start in the maiden at Mohawk? I don't want to put him in where he can't win. Now, we don't know for sure if our horses can win, but I want the number 1 best place for us to race to have the best shot to win. Especially now, I'd love to put a mark on World for Two. Name a horse that doesn't deserve it more than him. Like, he deserves to have a good 2-year-old mark. So, I had talked to Ian and said, could you put a 2-year-old maiden on? If you wouldn't mind, we have a 2-year-old that deserves a mark. Be nice to get a mark on him. So they've agreed to write a 2-year-old maiden race. For those of you that are horsemen out there and like to gripe and complain about race offices and race secretaries, you may want to just employ the tool of picking the phone up and calling them or texting them, saying, hey, is there any way we could do this? More times than not, I find, especially with horsemen, they'll complain about everything, but when you ask them what they've done to change it, it's crickets. They get nothing. So it's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast. So I did pick up the phone, called Ian, and said, hey, could you, not to say that it'll fill for sure. Obviously, this is the first time I believe it's carded. But I'm glad to see that they carded it, because he definitely needs to be able to race at Georgian against 2-year-olds. When he was beaten 54 in Georgian, just a little update, the horse that beat him that night, just crushed them in 52 the other night at Mohawk. That was a 3-year-old that beat him at Georgian last time. So, Renegade Gypsy, World for Two, as I said, important that we get them in where they can win. I don't want him in the Champlain. I know a lot of people were pushing and asking Mario to put him in the Champlain, and you might have convinced him, if not for me. He's not going to the Champlain. I don't want him racing against those horses. I want, as I said, I said this the other day in the video, we need to learn from our mistakes. Clearly, Walk on the Moon's jaunt down that path of the Champlain/Wellwood was an epic fail last year, and we aren't going to make that mistake again with Renegade Gypsy. Resolute Bay, big winner last night, big red colt, got the job done, so his first maiden victory. This is the brother to the veteran we bought last year. I've said it for months and months and months now. I believe this will be a much better 3-year-old. He just looks immature. He looks frail, and that's just his make. So it's not the end of the world. He's had a pretty good year. I think we'll race him in the grassroots throughout, and then head to the field. But I think we'll see. I'd love to see this guy grow up and get big, because he could be any kind of 3-year-old. I've said that a lot this week, but it's the truth. It's the easiest way to put it. He might be an okay horse, or he might be a really good horse. That'll be up to him, his engine, his attitude, his mind, and a little time on the grass. Tie one on, lots to look forward to there. She's sitting 9th right now, which gets her in the final at the Poconos, I believe. It's at the final. No, it's at the Meadows. Final at the Meadows this year, I believe. So a decent finish next week in the Meadows, and she has punched her ticket into the $300,000 final. I think it's 3. It might be $250,000. I'm not sure. But even if she doesn't, obviously a super contender in that constellation also. So she's had a good year. She's given her family, both her and her sister, have done well by that family. I know that Mr. Schaefer, Wayne had said to me, we have the full brother by bar hopping. I said, yeah, we probably can't afford that one, but thank you for that. So we are going to be keeping an eye on the bar hopping brother, but I wouldn't get your hopes up just yet. And then in Kentucky, we've had, obviously last week sucked a bit. The horses were a little bit sick. They both scoped and their blood verified that. Unbeatable Kemp I've left in the hands. All 3 are in the hands of Tyler and John Boutenshane. The doctor, Dr. Roberts, was taking care of Unbeatable Kemp. He had a little issue, some little blood there last week. So they've dried him up, worked him. As far as I've been told, they seem to be coming around. Now, not only was Blue Bayou Dio a little flat last week because I thought she was coming off the virus, her white count was still high when they took it 2 days later. So they've switched up the antibiotics. She's a tough little bugger. She's like a pit bull. I love horses like that. And she's going to get her full test because the best filly I think she's the second best filly in the entire division on paper, on what I've seen. You got to beat the best to be the best, and she's in with the best. Date night is in with Blue Bayou Dio. So I don't know if John will be able to have her at 100%. It'd be great if he did, because I'm sure Andy will have his filly at 100%. Either way, any sort of favorable finish this week and then next week gets us into the final of the Incentive B, the Commonwealth lag, I believe they call it. A little more work to do with Garden State Dio. Now, there was, as I suspected, and I was right, there was old tie up there, a few little things to work on. If she looks like she's stretched out, maybe getting a little tired, it wouldn't bother me at all to pull the shoes off her and maybe even leave her in Kentucky. We do have a number of clients and friends that are in Kentucky. Dr. Haley Moore, who was the breeder of Mischievous Rose, has a farm in Kentucky. So I would suspect that is an option for Garden State Dio moving forward. Unbeatable Kemp, I think he still has a lot to offer. Still have that New Jersey stake in my head with him. Are we going to freehold with him? I don't know. I don't want to use him too hard this year. Happy with what I saw 2 starts ago, and then you certainly can't blame him for the other day. This is a horse, if you look at his times, his miles, he's always raced okay mathematically. 2 weeks ago was by far the best start of his life, and then come back with a little bit of sickness, a little bit of blood. Dr. Roberts thinks he'll have them all cleared up, so we'll race him on Monday and see what he does. And then obviously, a horse that really caught my eye, really warmed my belly, so to speak, was Rose Run Why Not. You're not a killer. She only won a maiden, but the way she did it, that was the horse I envisioned for the last year. The start. That was what I was waiting to see. That's what I thought I saw inside that horse. Just couldn't get her there. And I appreciate the patience of my partners and the owners of Rose Run Why Not for just biting your tongue and holding your breath and waiting while we got her squared away. I was torn on the Buckeye. In fact, I wanted to go back to the maiden, and I saw Jason in the barn the next day. It was right when the box was closing. He said he entered her in the Buckeye, and I said, I was going to say maiden, but you know what? I think she raced well enough to go in there. I think she did. Man, she looked so good the other day. Yeah, she probably would have won a maiden again. Well, we'll see. So, Rose Run Why Not is in the Buckeye. So is I'm a Lovely Lady. Jason said all 3 of those fillies, I'm a Lovely Lady, Mama, and Rose Run Why Not, trained awesome this morning, getting them scoped. Lady, you know, that's how quick this game can turn. Got roughed up the day I drove her and got parked the whole way. Then chased down Designer Specs. Probably stretched her out a little bit. She didn't race good at the fair last week, and then drew the 8-hole in the grassroots. Now, I'm not going to be blasting her out of there. I think she's sitting in a favorable position for the Buckeye. We just got to toe the line. We just got to hold the line straight into the Buckeye final. You know, the 8-hole at Northfield Park. I don't have to tell you what the odds are of you winning there. Very slim. Very slim. So, hold the line, get all you can, and don't hurt the filly. That's pretty much what we're looking at for this week, even though it's a stake race. Mama Knows Best drew some tough ones in there. Again, we need the points, but I know the last time I tried to leave out against Hunter's filly on the rail, that Caps filly or Chaps, or whatever the hell her name is, I put her on the run. So, Can't do that again. Again, get all you can get on Monday. And then when it comes to Rose Run, why not? I mean, I don't really have any expectations. I think she'll do good. So that's where we're at with all the horses. Obviously, I wanted to and continue to talk about the Ohio purchasing proposal that I made to everybody, the partnership. A lot of P's in that. I wanted to make sure that everybody understood what was going on. I know we had a couple of people that were a little concerned that they were smaller owners, and and I would rather people not, try and get to 2,500 when they shouldn't. Just rest assured, the shares they're not going anywhere. They're going to be there. They're going to be available for everybody to purchase. They'll be just available in a different way, rather than a ton of them being left. And there will be some left on the public market. Make no mistake, there will be. But there'll be lots available, I'm sure, on the private market. I built it this way so that I can manage the stable in a more financially responsible way for myself and my family. The stress attributed to, and I'll continue to use this word because it is the proper word, cobbling together whatever revenue streams I could to ensure that the stable was running, moving forward, and being viable was not an easy task. And, we were very blessed to have a great year this year. Our clients come out in full force, and we sold. I believe all the lots are sold of the partnership. Aside from that, aside from all those shares being sold in the partnership, I believe we have a number of people that are also asking for to be put on a list to buy shares as soon as that 72-hour window's up. Make no mistake, if you were to send me an email and say, Anthony, can I get shares in this horse, any horse, after that window is up, I'll do what I can to help out and ensure that we get them. I want everybody to be happy, but at the same time, you guys, you have to understand where I'm coming from. Certainly you can. So that's where we're at with the partnership. It's moving along really, really well. I'm very impressed with how quickly it sold out and how many people had messaged me about it, were interested in it. As far as what we do moving forward, obviously, we'll decide what we're going to do for Lexington and the Ontario sales based on a somewhat similar model to this. I don't think it needs to be so expensive, but at the same time, building an opportunity to buy horses in this way makes sense. So don't forget, we'll also have private horses coming in. We do have horses, and I am looking at maybe 5 or 6 yearlings. I'm not going to buy 5 or 6. Might buy a couple though on Tuesday. And make no mistake, these are not in the partnership. These will be up for sale as soon as I get them. Now, it won't be the same where we have the hub and we'll have everything done. We won't, right? This will be old school Anthony calling Wendy and Kelly saying, hey, I bought hip number whatever. This is what I paid for it. This is what I paid for it, and this is what it'll be. Now, I as far as the billing goes, I'm always concerned that somebody's going to buy a share and sell it right away. And that is why we implemented putting costs for being at the sale on thing. Now, obviously, there's no flight to the sale because I'm here. I don't need to charge anybody anything like that. I don't even care about the gas. But me staying overnight, meals and whatnot should be on there, and taxes if they have to go across the border. So the old school method we resorted to maybe 2 years ago, or maybe somewhat into last year, will be in effect for the Columbus sale. Well, hold on. For the sale on Tuesday. Let me be abundantly clear. And we will go from there. So, again, I appreciate all the kind notes. I know, listen, we didn't have a great 3 days. I'm very aware of it. I burnt my gloves after last night. Came and got my hair cut. Maybe go to church. But we've had a great summer, and we want to keep it going. You're going to have hiccups. We're going to have hiccups. And it's not like something rare happened. We had trotting fillies that made breaks. That will happen. We will do our best to mitigate that and stem that from happening again. But the reality of the situation is it happened. We're going to do our best. I am, you are. Everyone's going to do their best to turn the page and move on. So that is your opening. I'm sorry if I've missed something. I just got a lot rattling around in my head right now, especially with the sales coming up, and now Amy and the kids aren't here, which kind of sucks. I missed them already. So be nice to, I do have to go home for Grace, and it was not a scheduled appointment. was not in my daily planner for right now, but it'd be nice to get home, see Amy, see the kids, and see old Gracie. Anyway, I'll talk to you all very, very soon. We still got a number of things to talk about. All the 2-year-olds, all the 3-year-olds, all the age sources, all of this, all of that. Be back in a minute.